We've done how many episodes now of this new version of the show, and I still haven't come up with a new intro. I just thought of that right before we started recording, and every single time I wanted to kick myself in the ass. Welcome to R2-BD, friends. My name's Joey.
I'm Jacob.
We're brothers, and we talk about Star Wars things, I guess. You know, all I need is something simple like the Star Trek intro. The Star Trek intro is easy as hell.
It's super easy.
And I can't take the time to come up with that ease of access for myself here. But now the fact that we don't have an intro for this is kind of part of the intro.
Yeah, it's almost now become the intro.
I feel bad at myself if I did come up with an intro for this. So it's... I don't know, man. All right. Book today. We got a book today.
Yes,
you chose our book for today. You chose our book for today. Tell us what book we're covering today.
I decided we're going to do The Living Force. I don't remember who the author is off the top of my
Mr.
head.
John Jackson Miller, who's kind of a. I have it in my hands here. You can hear for the ASMR folk at home. It's me running my finger. Sorry, that's me running my finger.
Flip the pages.
Running my finger across the book, and it's. Hang on, wait. Pages turn. Anyway, but John Jackson Miller, who's kind of a legend in Star Wars Legends terms.
Yes,
he is the writer of that Obi-Wan Kenobi novel that everybody loves.
Mm-hmm.
I've never read it.
We have no personal experience.
This is actually my first John Jackson Miller novel, which is kind of cool. Living Force. You chose Living Force. Why did you choose Living Force?
I chose Living Force for a lot of the same reasons I choose books for this podcast in general. Mm-hmm. Just something interesting, something about it caught my attention. Mm-hmm. In this case, that I was told it takes place during the tail end of the High Republic,
mm-hmm. which is to say, like, literally, like,
just before
the Phantom Menace.
It's a lot closer to the Phantom Menace than I guessed, though.
I kind of figured it was right before, considering some of the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stuff.
Well, here's the thing: I knew Qui-Gon was a part of it. I didn't know it was like Qui-Gon with Obi-Wan, though. I thought maybe it would have been before Obi-Wan.
All I knew was that because of my next book that I chose for us, I knew my next book that I chose for us, we'll cover it on a future episode, is Master and Apprentice. So I knew that this took place after that. So I was like, okay, cool. They're already Master and Apprentice at that point. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, so you chose it because of High Republic connections. Not nearly as many that I think as we had anticipated.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are still some. There's definitely enough name drops of the title itself, High Republic.
Yeah, certainly. This is also, I think, the most current book we've ever covered.
I was thinking that as far as I'm aware, this is the most currently released book.
Yeah, this just came out last year. What was the newest before this that we did? Maybe
Rise of the Red Blade was
not Princess and the Scoundrel. What was it? I don't know what it was. Maybe Shadow of the Sith?
Shadow of the Sith, maybe?
That's a pretty new one?
That was newer at the time, yeah.
Either that or like Brotherhood or something. I'm kind of lost on it, to be honest, though.
I can't picture what the most new book was before this.
We're bad Star Wars fans. Interestingly, so first off, it's worth saying this is a spoiler discussion.
Yes,
it's just harder to talk about things without spoilers, especially when it comes to just general novel discussions. Not quite it's not quite the same as like say when I do like Fresh Face Comics with other Jacob, where we talk about the comic like beat for beat, you know, so we can have like that sort of like loose discussion beforehand. And then we go into things and we do like a full spoiler discussion.
Right.
You know? So this is just spoilers all the way. So if you have not read The Living Force, we recommend you do that. If you have no interest in The Living Force, then just keep listening to us talk about it, I suppose.
Right. I mean, I suppose for all those who want to know, who would like to read it, good book.
Solid book. I do have my own personal complaints that I will definitely get into. Big one that I kind of want to bring up right out the gate here. So I'm sorry. Have I felt really low energy talking to you about this book outside of this episode?
Yes, you have been a bit low energy talking about this. I have
felt that from myself. So here's my thing with this, and here's kind of and I want to be clear right at the gate. I liked this book.
Yeah, the book was good.
This book,
but I'm curious where you're going with this.
However, this is the first Star Wars book ever to be about the Jedi Council, is it not?
As far as I'm aware.
If not, it is probably the first to be like exclusively about them. You know, like where these 12 guys are like the main protagonists. You know,
we even get Yoda POV chapters, which are nice.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Or I guess it would be interesting if the Jedi Order, as a thing, made for interesting characters. I think that's my problem, really. Is rightfully, the point of the prequels is the Jedi fucking suck, and man, I agree. These guys suck.
You know what I will say? I will say that I feel like a lot of the characters, like, okay, let me rephrase that. Some of the more, like, background Jedi Council members, like the ones that don't do a lot of talking if they talked at all on screen.
Yeah.
They feel like they have more token character traits.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, characters like Yoda, Mace Windu, Oppo, you know? Because I have a hard time saying his full name.
Oppo Rancisis, my boy, who makes an appearance here.
Yeah, like I say Oppo because he's got enough High Republic appearances that I actually have a sense for his character.
Every time I think of Oppo Rancisis, I just think of his weird, like, gargly, it's just a wet sounding line in the 2D micro series. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That voice they give him in the 2D micro series, it's very funny.
Yeah, but like outside of the more well-known Plo Koon, that's another big one, of course.
Yeah.
Like outside of those guys who have like fairly well-defined character traits, a lot of the other council members do feel like they have more token character traits.
Well, let's I mean, you know, let's call it what it is. These are the characters that we were already like, hey, these guys are good, are the ones that we already knew and we're already familiar with. I'd say we'll get into it later. There's one character I think that my opinion on actually improved on because of this book. A character that I wasn't super familiar with before, that Miller actually takes the time to be like, let me tell you who this person actually is. Because otherwise, like, sure, like, Stacey Tin is here in a lot of the book, but I still don't know who Stacey Tin is, you know? I don't know who fucking Jarl Poof is, really, you know?
I mean, I will say I did definitely... I think I would maybe disagree on Jarl Poof. I think through this book I got a strong sense of what he's like, at least by episode 1, that he feels like he has a strong personality. Like, that he's a jokester, almost.
Interesting. I suppose... Also, we found out in some research for this, we found out that Jarl Poof apparently dies at some point before Attack of the Clones.
Yes! That blew our minds.
In an event that has still not been, like, shown in, like, any official canon material. Give me the Jarl Poof death story, you know? But I don't know. It is not so much that the Jedi do not make for interesting characters, because we know that they do. We have Yoda, we have Plo Koon, we have Ki-Adi-Mundi. These are characters that I know can be interesting because of, like, the Clone Wars series, you know?
Yeah.
Outside of Yoda. Yoda is the exception to that, obviously.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, like, the most interesting Jedi characters are always the ones that are not good Jedi. Anakin Skywalker is not a good Jedi. Obi-Wan continually showing, while he is, like, mostly a devout Jedi, the most interesting Obi-Wan stuff out there is his relationship with Satine.
Oh, yeah. That's where he gets the largest breadth of characterization.
Yeah. Ahsoka Tano, actually an interesting character, famously gets expelled from the Jedi Order. You know?
Yes.
And chooses to leave it because she feels like she doesn't belong there. The reason that Star Wars protagonists are not these guys is because they don't make interesting characters. For the most part.
For the most part.
So... that major quibble out of the way, which I only really realized like halfway through the book. I was like, you know what? Most of these guys just aren't that interesting.
And I think it's easy to notice too because everyone has a separate plot line.
Yeah.
Or like some of them are buddied up.
Yeah.
And they have like buddy plot lines going on.
Yeah. Yeah. That putting that aside, that being sort of my major quibble with the book, I did enjoy it for the most part. I find it's we should bring this up now. Its placement in the Star Wars timeline,
yes,
interesting. Being sort of pre-Phantom Menace, like immediately before Phantom Menace, essentially. In a scene that I'm going to save to talk about later because it's very funny, but it's that thing that Star Wars has to do sometimes where it's like, even though we told you explicitly throughout the rest of the story where this takes place in the timeline, just so you know, this is where it takes place in the timeline.
We need a very clear visual.
Yeah.
There is no more clear visual in this book.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that scene where... at the end of Andor Season 1, where the Death Star shows up, and it's like, the Death Star has no relevance on the plot of Andor Season 1. Why the fuck is it here?
Right, honestly.
Like, who actually cares? We all know where this takes place in the timeline. Who gives a fuck? You know?
I'd like to think Star Wars fans, casual or non-casual, have better media literacy than, like, is sometimes presented.
Either that or just fucking, like, I don't know, dare your audience to actually just engage with the story as it is and not worry about the timeline at large, you know? Like, just take in a fucking story. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about some of our characters, though, throughout this. I brought him up already. Let's talk about Stacey Tin. I don't know why he's the first guy I want to go
I'd say Stacey Tin, alright,
He's the first name I jumped to on my notes here. My first note on him says Stacey Tin is an ass. Because I knew nothing about Stacey Tin before this. He dies in Revenge of the Sith. He has a very, very small appearance in the Clone Wars. And outside of that, he's kind of nothing. And I'm glad I know nothing about him, because fuck this guy.
Honestly, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck this guy. And that's all I can really say. What else does he do? Who gives a fuck? Oh,
I mean, I suppose we should talk about each of their plot lines as like at least a little.
Sure. Any strong opinions on CC 10 from you?
No, not really.
You know what? I'll say this. CC 10 gets paired up with Plo Koon at one point. And
okay, fair. Yes.
One of the more interesting scenes with Stacey Tin in this book, and I think it was mostly because of Plo Koon, is the scene where they learn about AI taking jobs, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I did love. I loved that scene. That was great. Where it's a droid like taxi.
It's droids that aren't taxi drivers have all been given the jobs of taxi drivers.
Yes. Yeah.
And all the taxi drivers kill all the other droids.
Yes, it's so good.
And then Plo Koon and Stacey Tin essentially force the agency or whatever that owns all the taxis to like make a new deal.
Yeah. It is worth saying, like, while this is technically all one story, it sometimes does read as an anthology book, I think. Specifically in how some of the different Jedi are split up and the sometimes very disparate plot lines they are handling.
I would, not that I'm saying the book would be better rearranged, but there's no way it would be. This book would suffer if my next statement was true. But I would wonder what this book would read like if you took each Jedi's plotline and you did it without every other Jedi's plotline in between.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Like, every character story, like, told straight through.
Yeah. Because they don't even really, like, all completely converge in the end. I think they, like...
Actually, not even, like... Because there's a big ceremony at the end of the book. Well, that's supposed to be, like, the big event of the book itself. But even then, all the Jedi aren't there. All 12 members of the Council are not there, are only present together to make an arrest.
Yeah.
And then they have a proper ceremony. That's not the point.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. For the most part, like, these Jedi plotlines feel very disparate for the most part. There's definitely, like, things that feel like more like main plotline than the others, which is Mace Windu waiting on a fucking spaceship the entire book.
Oh, God, I know. Depa Palapa's plotline.
Yeah, which is mostly what I was referring to. Depa Palapa was the one I was referring to earlier when I said that there was a character that the book actually made me care about, who I did not previously care about. For me, Depa Palapa was always, Kanan Jarrus's master. And for me, it was just like, it's the, what was the last thing? It's that scene where the Inquisitor is interrogating Kanan. It's like, what's the last thing she said to you? It's like, Depa Palapa, is technically a fridged character, I suppose.
I think technically is the right modifier for that idea.
Well, because here's the thing: if you're adding characterization to her afterwards, does that actually fixing the fridging? Like, I don't know, because she's nothing character that is exclusively used for the emotional beats of other characters. She's essentially fridged for Kanan's emotional journey. Shout out to Gail Simone, fan of me. I just stopped there for a second. Fuck, where was I? This is all staying in. So we give Depa a character later on, essentially, and say, like, oh, she was always an interesting character, and she is an interesting character here.
Because she, a lot like how you said, like a lot of the Jedi, if, like, especially on the Council, if they're interesting, it's because they're flawed. Depa is kind of flawed. She forms connections she probably shouldn't be forming through this book. Like, she cares for this kid who, like, was originally just, like, essentially an insight, an informant.
Kyla, right?
Yeah. And instead she learned she like really starts to care for her, and she's like, I want this kid out when I'm out. My out is her out.
Yeah, because essentially Depa's whole plot in this is that she is an undercover pirate. And she's
codenamed Hotwire.
Hotwire, yeah. And she's in with these pirates. She's getting intel on them, and she wants to take this kid with her. Essentially, when she has her time to get away. Of course, being a book, she has to being a story in general, she has to be found out. Of course, she's found out to be a Jedi, really, and is sort of captured by these pirates. And the Jedi have to rescue her, and the pirates end up becoming the main villains of the book, of course. But her plot outside of that, I think. To actually make me care about a character like Depa Billapa, who I would never ever think twice about beyond one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever, Kanan Jarrus.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking love Kanan Jarrus. We gotta talk about some Rebels on here someday.
We do.
Or you should read A New Dawn. That's a great book.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Do that someday.
That's a great book. But where was I? Depa Billapa is a character that I actually now care about, and also we learned about a lot more about like her history with Mace Windu. She was his Padawan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know that previously. I'm sure that was mentioned somewhere in something.
I'm sure it was. I can't picture where.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will say, not to distract from Depa's plotline, but Mace is connected. Back up to what I say about Mace. A lot of our books have not painted Mace Windu in the best light.
I think a lot of Star Wars doesn't paint Mace Windu in a good light. And they shouldn't, because Mace Windu is an asshole.
In this book, he was sort of gaining some goodwill
Mm-hmm.
until, like, towards the end again. when the book has to remind you, Mace Windu is still not a good person.
Yeah.
The short of it is, Depa is free. Like, she's freed by Mace Windu, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan through another side plot line.
Mm-hmm.
And the pirates, they take the kid,
mm-hmm.
and Mace is like, all right, let's go going.
Yeah.
We have a ceremony to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what?
Yeah.
We gotta go get her.
Yeah. Yeah.
We promised.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention this. One of the reasons she's undercover is because she's investigating the death of another Jedi named Zaran Ral.
Mm-hmm.
Who's someone we learn a bit more about throughout all this. Not a character that I don't think is a character that... I'm pretty sure a character that was invented for
I'm pretty sure it's invented for the book. But I think they're interesting. They could have been her Padawan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, totally. Ugh. The tragic lives of Jedi, in general. I mean, which is a larger theme, I think, of the book in general, being who our villains are. Let's talk about this, I guess. Zalastra, our sort of main pirate character, kind of has, I almost want to call it a generic backstory, but I not really.
It's generic in like, it's if you just broke it down like to its bullet points.
Yeah, it's, she's jealous of the heroes, so she became villain,
Yeah.
If we can call it the Jedi Order heroes.
In this context, I think that would be an appropriate enough title.
Yeah. But she is, where was I? Sorry, she is a character that was supposed to be, has had friends that were taken in by the Jedi Order as children, and she had to essentially watch them all be taken from her.
From like this she describes like essentially a crumbling like daycare kind of situation,
mm-hmm.
where the nanny droid begged for them to take her as well.
Yeah. Just this larger theme of, I think, the way the Jedi Order, for better and for worse, affects people's lives, which is another, I think, in general, kind of fault of the book, because Lastra is sort of our only really outsider character that we get a sort of first-person perspective on, because otherwise we're focusing on this plot where we're worried a lot about how the galaxy at large view the Jedi Order, and we're seeing it all from the Jedi Order's perspective.
Yeah, it's all from their perspective.
Yeah. When, like, if there's a main plotline of the book, it is that the Jedi are worried about how they're being perceived.
Right.
The reason they're going to this planet Quen is because it is an outpost from the High Republic era, long forgotten about by the Jedi.
It's as of the year the book takes place in, it would be its 200th opening, actually. Of the Jedi Outpost.
I have it in my notes here. The 200th anniversary of the Grand Renewal.
Yeah, the Grand Renewal, which was one of the great works of the High Republic.
Yeah. Yep. Reason High Republic, guys. Go on.
And the whole reason they're all going there is because Qui-Gon Jinn essentially challenges them to a PR stunt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is cool. Okay, so I hate that he's not in this book more, but I get why.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But Qui-Gon Jinn is a great fucking character. It's so weird to say, because technically he kind of falls into all the same sort of traps the typical Jedi do, but they kind of hate him for not being exactly like them. But he kind of is.
He's just different enough for most of the council to kind of ruffle,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah. He was already offered like a council seat, and he like denied it by this point in the book, or by this point in the timeline.
Yeah, by this point in the timeline.
And also it's important to note that that Qui-Gon Jinn, his character is where the title of the book comes from. The idea of the living force and the cosmic force comes from Qui-Gon's like opening lines in The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, absolutely.
He tells his Padawan to be reminded of the living force. There's a difference between the living force and the cosmic force. How they affect different types of life in the galaxy. It's a great idea. It's something that I'm personally a big fan of when it comes to larger Star Wars world building.
Well, we talk about this a lot, like all the time,
Yeah.
outside of this.
Yeah. The separation of the living force and the cosmic force. It's cool. It's a cool idea, and because of that, and also because the title comes from that, essentially, I think it's actually a quote that opens the book, isn't it?
I think
I have the book right
it's
here.
like we could look. It's right here.
It says
something.
Thank you for all the stuff at the beginning here, John
including a
Maxwell.
map.
Yeah. It's the line from the beginning of Phantom Menace. It says, "Be mindful of the living force, young Padawan." It's simple, but like it's just be aware of life. Be aware of other living beings is what is essentially being said here. Which again, point of the book, they're looking after this planet that has long been abandoned by the Jedi, essentially.
And
it's a PR stunt.
Yeah, it's a PR stunt because also it has the backdrop of the Chancellor looking at the galaxy going, oh, the Jedi don't need to be here, here, and here.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the Republic could reallocate resources closer to home.
Yeah.
What's this Outer Rim nonsense? Nah. You know, it is the Republic forgetting about anything outside the mid-rim.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting because like the Jedi are theoretically not part of the Senate, not part of the Republic theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
They are not related to the government.
Yeah.
Like directly.
Well, I mean, yeah, at least at this time. They're not the government yet.
Yeah, they are not like directly related as in like they will do what the Chancellor says just because they say it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this is a relevant note I have to what we're talking about.
Yeah, sure.
But I started this book way before you, so it's been a while, and it's an early note in my notes here. I have a feeling I'm forgetting what this is talking about, but I have Jedi sponsorships, ?
Oh, yes. I remember this.
I feel like this is relevant to what we're talking about, but I honestly don't remember what this is.
Kind of. So if I remember correctly, Chancellor Valorum, he's in a meeting with Yoda and Adigalia.
Mm-hmm. Famous dead woman.
and Palpatine, currently Senator of Naboo.
Famous evil guy.
Yes, famous evil guy. And he presents boots from a new member system of the Republic.
Mm-hmm.
They're so excited to be Chancellor Vorm's like this new system is so excited to be in the Republic. They want the Jedi to wear these brand new sparkly boots.
That's right. Yeah.
And they make mention that they've done this before with other things like temple clothing and like blankets.
Mm-hmm.
And they just want like Jedi to have stuff.
Yeah.
Because the Jedi are seen as representatives of the Republic.
Yeah. It's like when Batman was walking around in Jordans, you know? It's exactly it. Okay. This is coming back to me now. Alright, that makes sense. Yeah.
And everyone at that meeting kind of roundly goes, no one's ever going to wear these.
Yeah. My note right before that is worth noting is Yaddle a fucking cop?
Because this book does also present an idea I did not think of.
Yes.
This is a portion of the book when Yoda and Qui-Gon are trying to get everyone in one council meeting, so that Qui-Gon can essentially challenge them to the PR stunt.
Yeah. Yaddle's a fucking cop, isn't she?
I said I countered. I wouldn't call her a cop. I'd call her a lawyer.
I'm not sure that's much better.
but basically, Yaddle, I love it. Yaddle's doing paperwork on legal incidences that the Jedi could still be on the ring for, on the hook for.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hilarious idea.
Actually hilarious. Yeah, just funny. Let's see. Just rattling through a couple notes here. Oh yeah, I gotta talk about the one in all caps here. Veers Watch. Let's talk about.
Okay.
So Veers Watch. Oh man, I wish Twitter was still a good place to be. I would still go back on Twitter just to look at Veers Watch again. If you're unfamiliar with Veers Watch, Veers Watch was this amazing Twitter page. I think it still exists.
I think they're still active.
That looks through every single new Star Wars thing that comes out ever. Show, TV, movie, show, book, comic, audio, drama, whatever. You
name it, they probably watch the last
just to see if General Veers from The Empire Strikes Back is in it. Maximilian Veers is in this book. I didn't know his name was Maximilian.
I did not know that.
But that's his name, apparently. And Veers Watch has won the day in the living force of all things. He's, 11 in this or something?
Yeah, I think they say he's maximum 13.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
And my favorite part was when I first came across Veers, we pulled up a relic. We had to look it up. You had to show me more accurately.
Yeah.
And the people behind the book said that they were aware of him.
They were aware of Veers Watch, and that they apparently were sending notes about the book back to each other. Like, oh yeah, he's gonna love this.
And he doesn't have a small. It's not a big part. Obviously, I don't mean to imply. My next statement does not mean to imply he's a big part of the book. Mm-hmm. But he takes up a solid 10% of the book, which is weird.
He's in a fair bit of it. Yeah, pretty crazy. And he's paired up with Mace Windu of all characters, right. and a guy called Balo,
and who Captain Balo.
Yeah, who I learned is apparently an Imperial guy in some other expanded universe stuff currently.
I just thought he was. I mean, beyond just this role here, never seen him before. Mm-hmm. Not that I know of anyway. Mm-hmm. It was interesting, a very by the book kind of character, which I was surprised and refreshed with to see. Someone not treat the Jedi like they walk on golden ground. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, you do kind of get that a fair bit throughout the prequels, though, don't you? And not specifically in the Clone Wars era stuff, but beforehand, you get a fair mix of people that both are respectful of the Jedi and those that kind of hate them. Jedi have always. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is Jedi have also always been kind of controversial figures, haven't they? Which makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we'll have much to add on this, but I have a note here that says, "Who the fuck is Opal Rancisis?" And who the fuck is this guy? Here's the thing: I can tell you who everyone else here on this cover in the Jedi Council is through something else in Star Wars. I can tell you a personality trait about them through something else in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. But man, who the fuck is Opal Rancisis, and what does he do?
Okay, I understand where your point is. As I said, he's got a couple appearances in actual High Republic stuff.
I'm aware. I've read those appearances.
Yes, I know you have. Mm-hmm. But he does not have a lot of character in those appearances.
Yeah. And Jarl Poof, if nothing else, I'm going to bring this up. Jarl Poof, if nothing else, has that amazing Robot Chicken sketch.
Oh, absolutely.
Where he's the sole survivor of the Jedi Council in Order 66.
Which is really funny considering we learned he dies really early on.
Yes. I prefer the Robot Chicken canon.
Although, in fairness, he does, in that sketch, leave to go get, lunch or something. Mm-hmm. And when we don't see him until episode 3, and Yaddle was alive at that time.
It's true. Yeah. Amazing.
But, no, in this book, yeah, he has some personality. You get the impression, I got the impression, I should say, that, he cares a lot for history. That he likes that he's a history kind of person, and that he's very passionate about making sure, and if nothing else, his works are upheld somehow, which is not very Jedi-like to have that kind of concern for your work.
Yeah,
but again, he doesn't have a lot to do though in this book either, I suppose.
Yeah,
although there are a few fun scenes where they're saving ocean creatures that I don't remember how to pronounce the names of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's just sheds off half his Jedi robes and goes swimming, which is funny to me.
I imagine he looks badass shirtless. But I guess you can when you're just a lizard man.
Yeah, I mean, he would be a fairly effective swimmer.
I just can't imagine he moves very fast, does he? I don't know.
Although he did survive everything.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, there's no canon end for the character yet. So, Opal Rancisis in Oh god, Andor season 2. Come on, baby, baby. Amazing. But you know what? Really, I think like of that big complaint that permeates this book for me, it is small character moments, I think, that really make these lesser Jedi shine. Such as one of my favorite scenes, which is Ki-Adi-Mundi ordering a tasty comic ice mound.
Yes.
Comet ice mound. Which is just very fun. It's fun. He's like, they're like, what flavor do you want? It's like, ice is a flavor, man. Come on, give me the ice. He's like, it's great. It's a funny scene. It is just a small character moment that makes me just... That helps me, like, even if I didn't really know Ki-Adi-Mundi from other things yet, like, I'd be like, okay, cool, I understand a little bit more about the character.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
He's like, I just want ice.
We know Ki-Adi-Mundi is a very literal guy. We've all seen Landing at Point Break. It's a great episode.
Yeah.
Great episode of Clone Wars.
Good episode. Yeah, very good.
Great World War II a literary illusion. Fantastic.
Yes.
Love to see it. But no, it's just an extension of that. It's just a fun little character moment to help me understand a little bit more about who he is. That's all I need. That's all you need for the most part. I have a note here. In that same vein, Jarl Poof is a little stinker, is one of my notes here. It's that scene where he's doing the mind trick. It's very fun. It's a fun little scene. I like it.
With the bouncer?
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. He tells the bouncer one thing.
Yeah.
You want me here. Bouncer doesn't move. He's like, why do I want you here?
It's great. I love it. But it's not all silly moments. I suppose there are some larger philosophical debates throughout this as well. Among our Jedi, there's a great scene that I did note here between Plo Koon and Oppa Rancisis, where they sort of debate the role of Jedi. Obviously, this is a 10-year pre-Clone Wars time period, so like the Jedi don't have a carved out role in the galaxy right now. It's this debate of like, are Jedi like healers or teachers? Like what are we actually doing? Like, are we actively helping, or are we just telling others how they can help the galaxy?
Right, because they're past the point of like the roles they're obviously fulfilling and stuff. I keep bringing it up, like in the High Republic though.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a slightly more defined role in the High Republic. They are defending the frontier by and large.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything past the Mid-Rim, they are defending it, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You see them all doing that a lot. Also, it helps that they're fighting another pseudo-war in that book series.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, like, now, what are they doing? That's an excellent question to ask when everyone who runs the Jedi Order has left their home planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting. It's just a cool debate. And, of course, you know, as with all such debates, there's no definitive answer to it. They don't decide on an answer, but it's just a cool conversation to be having. You know, though, I have some strong opinions on the Jedi, though. Obviously. Obviously. This is a bad book for me to read. But I have a note here that is contradictory to what the book is telling me, and I wonder what John Jackson Miller's own opinions are on the Jedi, because I saw this scene where Yaddle is talking to the people of Quinn. They're like, no, the Jedi are not leaving Quinn. That's not what's happening.
Are you referring to the impromptu interview or the big one?
The interview. I think I forget what scene it's at. It's just where I have my notes. It's between the Jarl Poop being a little stinker and where we learn Zasha's backstory.
I think that's the proper interview.
Okay, that sounds right then. But Yaddle is telling the Jedi are not leaving Quinn. And to me, I wrote in my note here. I have is Yaddle lies to them about the Jedi leaving Quinn. I was like, cool, they're totally gonna leave Quinn, right? Because I was like, cool, the Jedi are going to be assholes. That's what the book is going for, right? They're going to leave Quinn. But John Jackson Miller says, no, the Jedi are by the end of the book, spoilers, John Jackson Miller says, no, the Jedi are altruistic. They are going to stay here. They are good people. They're going to help Quinn. And I don't know how to feel about that, personally. I get that if that's what they want to go for, sure, whatever. But I like that when the Jedi are portrayed as more morally gray than that. I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, really.
I think in this specific instance, this world was sort of a passion project for the Jedi in the past.
Mm-hmm. If
they're going to be altruistic to something, it's going to selfishly be about something they've already been a passion project about.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like they're going to be altruistic for a couple reasons. One, the Jedi Council is all there. So, like, they could make that promise. Like, Yoda, kind of like Yoda says at the end of the book, not in relation to this statement. He says about another thing. Like in one of his POV chapters as a thought.
Yeah.
He has some line of reasoning that goes along the lines of, you know, I could say this today, but tomorrow that action might not necessarily happen.
Yeah.
You know? Like the Jedi, all the council is all on Quinn. they could all say, yes, we are making this planet better, and they all promise to do that. They do. Like, they make up some plans, and that action might never actually come, though.
Yeah.
But if they are going to be altruistic, like the book kind of promises they will be here, it's because they already were. It's almost like an ego thing to make this planet back into a sort of former glory.
That's fair. And I think also it's important that bit comes from Yaddle as well, because we learned also that Yaddle was like part of the planning of the Grand Renewal. Like
yes.
Being part of the High Republic and everything. Like, yeah, she was around during that time period. Like, she helped plan all this out, the outpost on Quinn. So I guess that makes sense. But I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a version of this where maybe like the council didn't fully agree on staying on Quinn. Like,
we get the impression. I don't know. I got the impression maybe they all didn't, because some of them are younger. Some of them
that's true.
haven't been to this planet in a very long time, or maybe just once or twice.
That's true. But also, so many Jedi Council members are old enough and have long enough lifespans to have been around when this happened. You know?
Most of them.
We've already talked about 4 different Jedi that are around during the High Republic era that were definitely part of all of this.
Yeah,
a lot, and that's a third of the council right there.
Yeah, at least a third, almost half.
And only one Jedi member, and only one council member is a Jedi that it was recently added to the council, and that is Depa Billapa.
Yes.
The only one that is, her and Adigalia are the only 2 like newer members of the council by the time this book comes around. So like you don't really get the idea that these like newer perspectives are affecting the decision to leave Quinn or not. You know,
I will say, I wonder if that is part of like Yoda's revelation. He has much later in the book, towards the end, where Yoda does comment that like Adigalia has been helping Yoda. She's almost like a secretary to Yoda specifically.
Yeah,
and Yoda does comment like, have I Yoda specifically been stopping this young Jedi's path from going its own way?
Yeah,
have I stopped a new perspective from fully emerging?
That is actually one of my favorite aspects of the book. His relationship with Adigalia I find fascinating, because it is Yoda being nearly 900 years old at the time of this book. Is like, hey, yeah, sure, I'm like the most senior member on the council, but like, is that actively affecting my way of my way of like ruling on the council? Like, is that like, is it skewing my judgment essentially?
Yeah, like Yoda is self-aware enough to realize he might be he has some internal reflecting he doesn't need to do.
Yeah. Now, of course, also this is Yoda, so we can't question Yoda too much in the Star Wars franchise, because if we do, we kind of break the foundation of Star Wars, don't we? Which kind of fucking sucks. I wish we kind of do that with other characters, like maybe Yaddle, if we made Yaddle a bit more morally great, but we don't. Or if we focus more on Opal Rancisis and made him a bit more morally great, but we don't. And Jarl Poof just stopped being a silly guy. I have a note here that says Jarl Poof has spikes on his head at one point. When he goes in disguised into the club, it's hilarious. That mental image in my head, fucking amazing. I would not trade that for the world. But also, question your Jedi more. I want to see that. But also, Jarl Poof had little spikes on his head, and he was disguised as a little pirate man, and it was cute. But
right. Jarl Poof is at this point a prankster in his life.
He's a silly old man. I kind of like him.
he is like every Jedi youngling's favorite grandpa. Mm-hmm. Like that is literally how he touts himself.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious and great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's massively, like, I feel like I kind of want more out of these characters. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Yoda specifically, we can't question him a whole lot more than Yoda going, I'm old. Is that a problem?
Yeah, I just because of Yoda's role in the franchise as a whole, Yoda has to always be right, unfortunately. If Yoda's not right about everything, then you break a lot of larger themes in Star Wars. Because the only time that we've ever said Yoda was wrong is when he lied to Luke, really.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, or when Yoda failed in Revenge of the Sith, when he didn't sense the betrayal of the clones, or he didn't sense that there was a darkness coming. But again, also that's a larger Jedi Order thing, like Palpatine tricked everyone. So it wasn't a personal failing on Yoda's part, and Yoda lying to Luke was to protect him, so Yoda was still right. It was still portrayed as right in that moment.
And I just think it's interesting. I feel like it would almost make... I'm not saying Yoda would be more interesting if he was wrong, but like, I feel like he is too right. You know what I mean?
See, I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with that we don't have a substitute for a Yoda type, like someone like a Yoda type character to say like, hey, can we examine the problems of this order of this religious order that is so set in its ways that it will eventually lead to its downfalls? Can we do that through a different character, perhaps? Because doing it with Yoda, while interesting and while very, very cool, it does not land as hard because we know Yoda has to be right in the end.
Agreed. No, absolutely agreed.
Yeah. That said, one of my favorite Yoda plotlines in this, in addition to the Adi stuff, was him with a character called Erwin Lun, which I found very interesting.
Yes.
It is Yoda just genuinely being compassionate and showing great care for non-Force users, which I found just super cool. I love that. It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
It's part of the whole epilogue of the book, and it is one of those emotional cores of the book that I think make it really work. But of course. Okay, I gotta talk about the absolute best Yoda thing in the whole book.
Go on.
You ever think way too much about Yoda's phrasing? You ever think way too much about
how
Yoda
you
says
told
things
me
back?
About this.
So I told you, because I was way ahead of you in the book reading.
Yeah, you were way ahead of me. I had other personal books I was finishing up first.
And I said to you, I was like, there's a plot point that hinges on the fact that Yoda speaks fucking weird.
Yeah, that Yoda like puts his sentences backwards, so to speak.
Yeah. So, Zelastra, our pirate woman lady.
After Yaddle had made it very clear how the procession of events was going to go.
Yes. Zelastra is planning an attack on the Jedi celebration on Quinn, after learning also that she's the one that killed Zarin Rawl. So we have even more reason to hate her. Mm-hmm. So, again, the question of where does Jedi compassion come into it all, it's a whole part of the end of the book. We'll talk about it. But it's planning to attack the Jedi celebration. And the speech that Yoda has to give, that is pre-written and everything, she sets a bomb that is meant to go off with a specific phrase that Yoda's supposed to say during this speech at the Jedi celebration. So Yoda, being Yoda, what is the phrase exactly? You remember better than I do.
It is, the Jedi stands with you, and this has only changed because Depa Palapa has seen this trick played before already, through her individual plotline.
Yeah. And so Yoda says, with you, the Jedi are. And it fucks up the whole thing.
The plan, Zelastra's plan, does not go according to plan at that point. It's all downhill.
Pretty bonehead plan, realistically. Trying to hinge your phrasing plan on Yoda of all people.
Right.
But Zelastra attacks anyway. You get a big pirate showdown with the Jedi in the end. It's decent. It's a good time. I want to know what an Arc 8 looks like. What does an Arc 8 look like?
I don't know.
I want to know. They talk about it, and I don't know. I can't really visualize.
I can't picture an Arc 8.
I can't really tell you what it looks like. Let's see. Kind of going through my notes here, though, from the kind of final confrontation thing. There's an interesting plot point where Adi Gallia wants the pirates to have a way out in the end. It's not just about killing the pirates.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
It's a valid point. They can either just kill all the pirates, or they all have some kind of legal, morally fair way out.
Now, Zelastra does also use the bomb to destroy the outpost on Quinn,
which is very interesting still. But the Jedi are specifically Depa Palapa. She's like, you know what? Just get out of here. It says the Force willed it. Let's just get fucking going.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. We do capture Zelastra in the end. And then we get some more Zelastra backstory towards the end, which is so fucking funny.
And this is where I referenced, by the way, earlier. This is where all 12 of the council are actually together.
Yeah.
For the first time in a long time.
Because a fair few of them just aren't part of the big finale showdown against the pirates.
Yeah, some of them are with the pirates. Some of them are like Depa fighting Zelastra.
I imagine your all poof is still just partying at that club. But we learned that the Jedi that took away Zelastra's friends was fucking Sifo Dyas. And essentially, the vibe of the book turns into, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like all the Jedi just kind of roll their eyes oh yeah, Sifo fucking Dyas. Of course it was him.
Yeah,
fuck that
my favorite part of that is they're like, Sifo Dyas. And she's like, why? And they're like, he acted before he thought. And she's like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, he was on the council, but we stopped him from doing that going forward. He should have really taken your situation into consideration and brought you with him. And she's like, on the council? They were like, yeah, we removed him, though. And she's like, that doesn't make it better.
Some real George Lucas world building there. Just Sifo Dyas, of course it was him. Womp, womp, womp. And you just kind of go on with your day. The Jedi do stay on Quinn in the end, which, again, some larger questions I think about the altruism of the Jedi. We talked about it already.
Yeah.
Adi Gallia does get a larger role in the council in the end. I like the way I have the word in my notes here. It's just funny. I like when I make myself laugh with my notes. Adi Gallia, larger role in the council, parentheses, Yoda old. Just so I know how to talk about these things. But it's almost funnier if I just read out the notes directly. Let's see. Oh, yeah. My whole mission statement for this conversation essentially came from one of my last notes on the book. It just says Jedi being good guys, question mark. I'm like, yeah, are they good guys? I don't know. Are they good guys? Like, I don't know. It's just...
I think... we've had this. I think, like, in this context, yes.
Which kind of sucks. I want... Miller, I'm sure... I know you're a renowned author in the Star Wars book sphere, but I want you to have something more to say about the Jedi Order. Like, I really do. I don't feel like he does. I enjoyed the book as a whole. So
I think just if something more was said about the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
However, they do completely fuck over their librarian character still, because they're gonna stay on Quinn, but they're not building a new outpost.
Mm-hmm.
They're building a monument, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Out of the outpost, mind you. Like, it's destroyed form.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, they're building, like, a monument, and throughout the book, they keep referring to this fire that is lit every night. I don't remember what it was called. Sanctuary Mound? That sounds right.
Something like that, yeah.
There's this fire that's lit every night.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, the fire will stay, and we're building a new monument. But our librarian, still fucked over. No job.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He sounds like he was kind of making his own side money anyway, given one of the last couple of notes that I know you have on there.
Yeah. I did love the last line of the book, though. I love that Qui-Gon gets the last line of the book, because, again, title comes from Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon should get the last line of the book. And, again, it's Miller wanting to say something more, and it's almost like he would have something more to say if Qui-Gon were a bigger part of the book, because Qui-Gon is the only one being critical of the Jedi here. Which the last line is, attachment is not the problem, indifference is. And
if that isn't the freaking thesis of...
And that's the Jedi in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's like the thesis of every Jedi problem.
Yeah, so... Hey, Jacob, do you know where this book takes place in the Star Wars timeline?
No, I have no clue. Can you tell me where it takes place?
Is it A, A New Hope? Is it B, The Force Awakens? I'm writing these down as I say them. Is it C, the High Republic era? Or is it D, right before the Phantom Menace?
Is it D? How is it D? How does the book make it clear this is option D?
Well, you see, Jacob, you're never going to know this through any other way that the book explains these things to you. Or, you're never going to be able to guess its placement in the timeline just by telling you a good story. You see, Jacob, Darth Maul is here.
Darth Maul is in this book.
Darth Maul is in this book. Because, of course, we have to have a scene at the end where we learn that one of the guys that was working with the Jedi the whole time...
said librarian.
Yes. Was feeding information to Palpatine, who is the Emperor, in case you didn't know. And Palpatine tells this guy his whole plan, and he's like, "Wow, why are you telling me your whole plan, man?" And
that's something you'd only do when you're gonna kill somebody.
And then Darth Maul comes out and kills the guy. Well, presumably kills the guy. You never see him actually die. He dies. He definitely dies.
He definitely does. I only infer that because Yoda goes to try to find him in a scene we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Where he goes like, Yoda's like, didn't find him. Found a ticket with his name on it. Must have left.
What a dumbass. But yeah, I don't know. It really just reminded me. My main point of reference is that fucking Andor scene where just the Death Star shows up. It's like, I don't know. I was already enraptured by the rest of Andor. I didn't need the Death Star to make me suddenly care about it.
Like, here's the thing. In Andor, because we'll talk enough
about
Andor next time.
Yeah, very much so.
It doesn't take me out of Andor when that happens. It's like, okay, I get it, but it doesn't take me out of it.
It does a little bit.
I'm saying me specifically. In this, I'm like, okay, this is just funny.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know. I don't need Darth Maul to show up to tell me just, like, ooh, the Phantom Menace is going to happen. Because I can just watch the fucking Phantom Menace, you know?
I could put together...
Or I could watch much better Darth Maul stuff by watching certain episodes of Clone Wars, you know? So, so there's that.
But I could put together through the rest of the context of this book where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. It's just, it's so weird. I don't know why we need to do this. It sounds like an editorial thing, like editorial kind of forced him to do this, or like, I don't know.
I kind of had a similar thought that it feels like like they were just worried, or there's something, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Ugh.
But whatever.
You know, I swear I liked it. I sounds like I was so negative throughout this. I'm so sorry.
We didn't even touch on some of the other plot lines that happened through this book.
Yeah. I just, man. Anyway, what are we doing next time on R2-BD? We're going to take a little bit of a break from a lot of Expanded Universe stuff. We're going to do our next 2 episodes on Andor, which is very cool.
Yes, that's next 2 episodes.
Next 2 episodes, yeah. We're doing Andor Season 1 next time. Hopefully we'll have it out before Andor Season 2 begins releasing. If not, it'll be somewhere during the release of Andor Season 2 that the episode will be out. And then, of course, we're reviewing Season 2 right after it's over, hopefully. So we'll have all that out as soon as we can. And after that, we're getting back to some other books and comics, all kinds of fun stuff. We previously talked about these things, I think, on other episodes. But we'll be... my next book I chose, which I already mentioned, is Master and Apprentice.
Indeed.
By Claudia Gray. And comic-wise, we're going to get back to some of the main Star Wars stuff. We finished off last time with that, with Vader Down, which it's been a long time since we've gotten back to that run.
We've done a bunch of minis in between then.
So we're going to get back to some of that. We're going to finish up the initial Vader run by Kieran Gillen, so that's exciting. A lot of fun things coming up. I'm very excited about all of it, and I hope you guys are too, because I don't know. I know we've mentioned it on the past couple episodes. Just the new format for R2-BD has felt really fitting for us.
Yes.
As recording partners and brothers and all that.
It lets us focus a lot more on just one thing.
Yeah, exactly. And getting to have more robust conversations like this is super exciting for us. So I love it. And I love Star Wars. I didn't completely love this book, but I love Star Wars.
Yes.
You know what? This is totally relevant, actually. As my one friend recently said in reference to Star Wars, friend of a friend talking about their friend. It's very convoluted. Essentially, what they said was, and I have this pulled up now. It quoted one of my best friends was talking about Star Wars once, and gave me the line quoted of saying, "You have to really love something to hate it this much," which I think is just kind of Star Wars in a nutshell. This was a conversation about Marvel, actually, when that quote came up. But it's equally relevant.
Equally relevant, absolutely.
Equally relevant. All right. I think that about does it. As always, check out other things that we do on the channel. We have Star Trek videos. Me and Jacob do Star Trek videos all the damn time.
Yes.
Every single week we're talking about a new episode of Star Trek. We're going through The Next Generation. We're nearing the end of Season 1, which is so exciting. I cannot wait for you guys to see our videos in Season 2.
Yeah.
We've been recording them nonstop. And
Season 1 was good. Season 2 is good.
Season 2 is great. I'm really liking Season 2. So,
big fan.
Yeah, big fan of Season 2. Check all that out when that is out. Also, other things just for me personally. It's not this Jacob, but other Jacob I do Fresh Face comics with. We do Fresh Face one-shots. We do all kinds of fun things on here. It's a great time. Our link trees, or my link tree, and Jacob's link to his Blue Sky will be down in the description below. You can follow us wherever you want to follow us. I think that about does it, though. Subscribe to the channel. That was the other thing. That actually about does it. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Joey Morgan.
I'm Jacob.
Goodbye.